Hello everyone. This is going to be a brief film on how to manage your exams in your My Ozarka courses. So I've chosen my Accounting 1 course to show you how to set up an exam. You go to your activities for this course. Alright, and here are my activities. And I'm going to add an exam. You go to New. Choose exam in the week that you want to put the exam, or you can move it or change the date later. I'm going to put, this is going to be your sample exam. You may already know how many minutes you want to give the student, usually about 1 minute per question. So I'm going to say 1 or 2 minutes depending on if they have to figure anything. So I'm just going to say 45 minutes. And then I'm going to go down to the instructions, and in the instructions I can give the student instructions on how to take the exam. I'm just going to put answer all questions. Alright, then, I go to the top and I put create exam. So now if you'll notice I have the sample exam created in week 1. So first thing I'm going to do is I click on this exam, and when I have it highlighted, notice that for one thing you can go in here and look at it. It shows you that the student's going to have 45 minutes, but what you're going to do is go over here to the links, and if you already have questions in the exam, you can view the questions, or we're going to import from a test bank, meaning in your classes, you have uploaded test banks. I have a bunch of them for this class because I have many different test banks for my accounting class. Yours will probably just show a few chapters or so, the chapters that are in your textbook. So I'm going to choose one of the test banks. You can choose one, or you can choose many. I'm going to say, well, let's take a few questions from chapter 3. If I say continue, then all the questions in that test bank show up, and I can choose which ones I want. If I leave the toggle on to show the checkbox, it's going to choose all of them. However, let's just take the toggle off, and then you would go through and read the questions you want to use out of that chapter. Okay, like this one. Oh, we'll just choose a few and import these questions. Means it is going to import the questions I chose. You may want to import some more from, let's go back. Let's import some from a different chapter. Let's just say I'm going to import some from chapter 6. And I say continue, take off the toggle, and choose the questions that I want to enter. This is really helpful when you're doing, I like to give one test per chapter over each of the chapters that we cover, just so the student will have the opportunity, because they're going to take these exams at home. They'll have their book, but it gives them a great opportunity to review and to see if they know the answers to the questions, and if they don't, they can look them up. So that's one of the benefits of having your online classes with exams, and the exams are graded for you. All the questions are, import these. Okay, so now we have some questions. All the questions, when students click on take the exam, they don't get the same questions in the same order. It will scramble the questions, and it's going to scramble the answers. So you really don't have much. If you limit the time on it, you don't really have a lot of opportunities for the students to pass it on to others. They cannot copy the exam. They cannot. So that they cannot print it out or save the questions for someone else. So we've got our questions in our sample exam. If you want to take them out, you just click right over here on whichever questions you want to remove, where it says toggle, and delete those questions. Say OK. Alright, so you can choose the questions you want, or just upload an entire test bank so that all the questions would be there for that particular chapter, and then it would randomly choose different ones for different students, so they would get an opportunity and wouldn't have the same questions, but the same from you could have them do a lot of questions so that it prepares them, gives them a great chance to review, plus they get the points. So we're going to say, okay, so I've got my test in there, and I want to go to the settings again so that I can set it up and be sure. Now, I had 4 questions. It automatically chooses use all questions. I can take that off and say, nah, I'm just going to use 2 questions, and I'll give them 20 points. So it will choose 2 questions there for each student, and or ever how many you choose, and randomly move them about or change them. You can also, at this point, choose to put in more instructions. And so the optional settings are, after this test has been completed by the students, after it's completed, then you can go in and click on Allow Review. And what that does is it opens up their test so they can see how they did, which questions they missed, and they can go back and study and find the answers to the questions. It's very important. We use the to let them review the questions. Now, let's say you're setting this up for a midterm exam or a proctored exam, meaning they're going to have to come to school for their midterm or their final. We require it for all finals. And so you're going to put in a proctoring password. And I'm just going to put in a password. Okay, so when I do that, the student cannot start this exam unless they have the password. So they would have to go to a campus, get with the proctor, and then the proctor would have the password. They would open it, and the student can take it in a proctored environment. All right, so then you would just update, be sure you update, and then all your requirements are on there. So when they click on it, you see it says, oh, it has to have a proctor, so I can't take this exam until I go to the proctoring center or to one of the campuses and have them put the password in. Alright, so I'm going to go back to the settings and take optional settings, take the password off. And oh, by the way, to see it again if you forget it, you just go over it with your cursor and it shows what the password is to you. I remove it, so now the student can take it if they wanted to. Always be sure, show 1 question at a time and nothing else is marked. Nothing else is marked. We do not want it to show the answers when grading. We do not want it to show the questions when grading. And sometimes when you set up your course, using the setup and copy it forward, it will check show answers when grading. And you'll have to go in there and check or remove that check mark. Alright. So then here we're good, and we say update. So now we have an exam. To remove any exam or any assignment, you click on it, you go to links, and you go down, and you just click delete. Alright. And so it's gone. Let's go back and put another one in, and I'll show you how that you can upload a test bank that has been prepared in the format that my Ozarka can receive. My Ozarka sample again. My Ozarka handles Blackboard format in your test bank. So when you get a test bank from your publisher for your textbook, it may not be in Blackboard format. In fact, it won't. But it will come in the format of either Exam View or Respondus. If you get one in Exam View, you will have to create your test bank in Exam View and then export it as a Blackboard file, and then you can upload it to my Ozarka. I have already done this, and I will probably do another, little video on how to do that. But let's say I've got my sample exam, and I click on it, and I'm going to go import test bank. However, I don't want to use any of these test banks, so I go name of test bank, sample, and I go to the choose file. Now, I need to choose a file that has been prepared in Blackboard format so that it can be uploaded into my Ozarka. When you are preparing your test banks. Let's see. Let's look at this one. And I'm just going to choose one that's there. Okay, you notice it when you prepare your test banks and export them from, let's say, ExamView or Respondus, it's going to come as a zip file. These are all from one of those other programs from Respondus, created as a zip file in Blackboard format. So I would choose one of these. I would say open, and then sample, and I've got my test bank there, and then you upload it. What happens then is it takes that test bank and it puts it into the Ozarka test bank base so that you would have it to choose from. Now, okay, so then you can choose to enter all the questions or all the test bank you just, I imported 36 questions, it'll tell you. So now I've got those imported. So if I go back to my activities and go back to my sample exam, go to links, it should be in there. I just imported it into my Ozarka. So now if I go down and look, I should have my sample test bank in here somewhere. I guess I named it sample. I didn't. No. It will be here. I just cannot find mine right now. But it would be here ready for you to use. And there it is, sample May. And I would choose it. And I would say, no, I don't want to delete it. In fact, I'm just showing you here that it's uploaded. You go to here to see it. Because if you click on the bottom ones, you delete them. Okay, so let's find it. It should be right here somewhere. Sample May. There we go. And so there it is. If I say continue, there's all those questions I just uploaded with that test bank. Alright, so I don't want to, well, I'll go ahead and import them. Okay, so let's say I just import all the questions. Go back to my links, take a look at my test again. Under settings, now it's showing I have 36 questions. Okay, so I don't want to use all of them. I'm just going to say, use 20 out of there randomly. And we'll just give them 20 points for doing it. This is their home session. I'm going to up the limit, up their time so that they have time to look it up if they don't know the answer. Because this will give them a chance to study. That's the best way to study. And then I would say, update. And then it's going to choose, when they click on it, it will choose 20 questions for them. And since I'm not going to use this in my accounting class, because that was culinary text test bank, I'm just going to delete it. So always when you click on your exam or anything, you can go to your links and it shows you what you can do. You could add questions of your own. If you want to add a new question just to that test, just click on it and you can add a question, multiple choice or true, false, or short answer. And they'll always be there on file right there in that course with that student. So let's just delete this one. And hopefully this has helped in setting up your test. So I'm going to create another one on how to do those test banks at a later time.